Oh no, what's the other place?
Breaking Bourbon.
Breaking Bourbon is the one that's like,
stingy.
It gives everybody 2. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, Dan, you're a 2.
That's
Dan is a 2.
that's aggressive. Like
Yeah, that's pretty
rounding
generous.
up. That's rounding up.
That's rounding up like 3 numbers. And he's at 2, so he's probably a negative
Negative
1.
one.
That'd be pretty, yeah.
Sounds about right.
We're all getting there. I'm probably at 2.5. Rounding up 3 numbers.
I'm a 3, but only because of my whiskey collection.
Yeah. Yeah, otherwise that's a like -7 or something.
A podcast about bourbon and the ones who drink it. This is Bourbon Matters.
Welcome to Bourbon Matters. I'm Jake.
I'm Dan.
My name is
What?
My name is
Chicka.
Slim Shady.
I was,
Roberto PDL Shady.
I was hoping you just rolled right into the Roberto PDL there.
I ruined it.
Missed opportunity.
That was a missed opportunity. That's why I'm a 3.
Well, now I have to use that cold open.
Otherwise it makes 0 sense. We normally make 0 sense.
All right, today we're drinking Blom Brothers from Galena, Illinois.
Part 2 of the local distillery series.
Yep.
Local distillery series, yes.
And it'll be exciting today because of the 3 of us, only one person has been there.
Yeah.
And it's not.
Well, Jake's driven by it.
I've driven by it as well.
Yeah.
many
Oh, you have
times,
to?
but I've
We've all
never-
been in the vicinity.
Yeah.
But
You're the one that stopped. So
Although Galena's not that big, I guess. You're in the vicinity. What do you mean? Well, I went to Galena. Oh, okay.
I guess the good and the bad news is since you're the only person that's been there, is we're relying on you for all of our knowledge today.
yeah.
Yeah.
So buckle up, listeners. This
now I
might
feel,
get bumpy.
no, I
know
just
what?
feel bad for you.
Hey, cheers, Jake.
Cheers, Dan.
Episode off.
No, I just feel bad for you guys. I have
Why?
0.
I'm just gonna sit here and drink.
That's a really good point. No, I mean for the audience.
Oh,
That if it's just me telling stories. But anyway, back in the Depression, 1929, there was the stock market crashed. There was a shortage of money and food, and people drank. All right, what's next? Yeah. So
You wanna tell the people what we're drinking?
yes, and again, there's not a lot of info out there on the website. There's not a lot of reviews out there. There's some like reviews for the online stores only. Like there's no Breaking Bourbon review or anything.
there was for the normal bourbon, not the 5-year that we're
Not the
doing.
5.
The
Okay.
normal one.
I didn't even look for the regular. Good for them. Hey, shit, your bourbon's getting reviewed by Breaking Bourbon. You've made it. But yeah, I did go. It was great. Galena it's a great town.
When you're a single middle-aged man, it's not a great town.
That's a really good point. I did not see many single middle-aged.
If you're married, it's fine. If you're a single middle-aged man, yeah, I mean, besides jumping aboard the VFW, there's not too much there that keeps me going.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think Galena gets a bad reputation because it tends to be, to your point, older married couples retire that have nothing to do, so they go to Galena, spend the weekend, and shop on Main Street, which they have a really cool Main Street. Old as hell, Galena was almost the capital of Illinois. And
What?
yeah.
It's like nowhere close to the middle of the state.
That's actually exactly why it wasn't the capital, because Illinois wanted to get the capital closer to the middle of the state. But Galena was almost the capital of
It's
Illinois.
interesting.
It's also home to 5 generals, and that's the most of any town in the United States. There were 3 Union generals, and then just 2 post-Civil War generals. Grant was from there.
Ulysses S. Grant, the big one.
USSG. His house is there. We went to see it. It's pretty cool.
Did you do
that's
the tour of it?
We did not do the tour. There was a huge line to do the tour. But Grant Park is beautiful. It's small, but it's nice. It's pretty. It's right by the river. So, again, we're doing local distilleries, and if you happen to be in the vicinity of Galena, it's actually worth going I enjoy history a lot, and Lindsay likes shopping. So she shopped. I read the history.
The downtown area is pretty cool because it
Downtown's
is
pretty cool.
like a bunch of buildings from
Yeah.
like the 1800s.
Yep.
There's lots of like Victorian homes there,
Yes.
and like it's pretty
Very
cool.
historic.
If you get past the type of people that go there.
Yeah, on that note, to your point, I think their main street is classified as one of the best main streets in the United States.
Yeah.
It is cool. The shops, the restaurants, really good restaurants, really good bars. The problem, though,
There's a
maybe
lot of
what
girls'
Jake
weekends.
is referring to is that it is probably the bachelorette party capital of the world.
Yeah.
And it is kind of annoying to be in the restaurants and the bar, and everything's a bachelorette party.
Yeah.
And yeah, if you go to the more chill places, to Dan's point, it's a lot of older retired couples, or just empty nesters that go for the weekend. So anyway, so that's Galena. It's a cool place. I recommend it just because, again, it's very historic. If you learn about the history of the river and and why Galena actually went downhill at some point, it's all really interesting.
Yeah, I grew up just over an hour from there.
In Iowa.
Yeah, I mean, Galena's, you can throw a stone and hit Iowa
that's
or
almost
Wisconsin
Iowa.
from Galena.
Yeah.
I wasn't quite that close to the border, but we did, I can't remember if it was a 7th or 8th grade field trip to Galena to do you do tour Grant's home and you do all the Civil War stuff and the normal things. But yeah, it was always close. It was never like it's not like it's a big place. And when you're in high school, college age kid, there's not a ton of stuff to do there. Some of the bars get hopping on the weeknight or weekends, but
it's an older crowd too, except for the bachelor parties, which again they just have their own drunk business going.
Yeah.
But yeah, and one last note on Grant Park, which is right across from downtown. It's got really good cannons, or really nice cannons. Not good, but I mean they're older. From the Spanish War, the Civil War. And the first cannon ever fired in United States soil is there at Grant Park.
That's cool.
It's pretty cool to see. This little British cannon that they brought from England. It was the very
so
first
it's
one.
like a lame one.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's small. It's really small. But then they have one from a Spanish ship that's like, holy crap, man! That thing, you could tell that thing will destroy a city just with one. But anyway, so all of this to say that if you go up the hill, maybe about half a mile. On the street that goes to Galena, there's Blonde Brothers Distillery. It looks like if you've been to Kentucky and if you've driven by some of the horse farms and maybe even the racetrack that's in Lexington, I forget its name.
Churchill Downs?
No, Churchill Downs
that's
is in Louisville. I forget the name of the one in Lexington, but it's equally as famous. It's smaller. But it's very famous because it actually hosts the one of the bigger, not of course the Kentucky Derby, but one of the bigger races is held there, and apparently it doubles in size for the race with bleachers.
Part of the Triple Crown?
It's not a Triple Crown race.
Oh, okay.
But it's like the festival of something or another.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, it looks like that. It looks like a distillery. I mean, I'm sorry, like a horse farm or like a racetrack even. The building is beautiful. It's got a southern feel, which again, it's kind of weird because this is northern Illinois. So the architecture of the distillery does not match the location. But it doesn't look like anything from the outside other than it's pretty, but it's really small. And then you go in and they have a beautiful tasting room. Great tasting room with barrels and leather couches, a lot of space. We were there on a Sunday at 12, and there were people, but it wasn't full. You're not claustrophobic in there. It's pretty cool. The bar is beautiful. We didn't wait for a flight of anything if you're tasting. And then of course there's the distillery, which is actually quite small. We went to Rush Distillery a couple of weeks ago. This is like a quarter of the size of it.
yeah.
Or we went to well, no, I was going to say Barnstorm. No, it's like 20 times the size of Barnstormers. It's clean. It's newish. I think Blonde Brothers is from 18, maybe 17?
17, I think.
Yeah.
is.
No, so yeah, that is pretty new.
Yeah, it's a new operation. It's clean. It looks new. But the building, I'm not doing it justice. You just got to Google it because it looks really pretty from the outside. So they do a good job. You do the tour. I mean, it's kind of like what Rush Distillery experience was. There's a guy that's just like, all right, well, here's the still, here's the rick house, and here are the barrels. But it was well done. I enjoyed it. They tell you a little bit of the history of Blanc Brothers, and it was just two brothers that decided to make whiskey. Mm-hmm. And they make at that distillery, they talk through the process of the gin, the whiskey, the vodka. They have absinthe that they make, and I forget what other products they make. I don't think they do gin, or maybe they do gin. I forget. They do. Yeah. So one of the obviously the things that they make is their bourbon, which is something that I really have come to really like. I think the flavors of the bourbon, to me, we'll get into that in a second, but they're great. There's the regular bottle of Blanc Brothers bourbon, and then there's they have a special release 5-year, and it's their release. Like I think at some point, Dan, didn't they start sourcing from MGP?
So what I was reading on their website is they have a whiskey called Notter whiskey or Notter bourbon, Knotter or something, and that was when they first started. They had the whiskey sourced, and they used the name Notter whiskey because it was not our whiskey. See what they did there?
I see what you did there.
Clever.
Yeah,
how's that working out for you?
They're pretty clever.
The other thing I read too is that the reason they decided to start a distillery is the two brothers said that the only times they ever got along is when they were drinking whiskey. And they decided that if they started a distillery, they'd always be drinking whiskey so they could get along.
And getting along. That's awesome. Yeah, so this special release 5-year, they had 2 bottles left when I was there because apparently it was really hot. Like, people were looking for it. And I tasted it there at the distillery, and it's great. I think it's great. It's a small distillery, and so again, considering that it's a small distillery, it's a newer place. I think they did a really good job with this their bourbon, their 5-year bourbon, which again we'll get here into in a minute. Their store is really cool too. They do a good job with the store. They have everything you can think of that a distillery store has. Mm-hmm. Glasses, hats. I really like their hats. Like their
did you bought a hat?
Yeah, it's a cool hat.
Did you also give that one away when you were?
I did not give that one away. Glasses, T-shirts, you name it. They have it in there. Friendly staff. The guy that does the tours is really nice. Very knowledgeable about whiskey. It wasn't the distiller. It's a guy that runs the store and the tours. But it was really well done. So yeah, and then they have a rye that is, in my opinion, one of the best ryes I've tried actually, and that says a lot. And I tried it not even at the distillery. I tried it at a bar in Galena. That the guy there was a bachelorette party. Go figure. And you could tell the guy was tired of of making fruity pink
Cosmos.
So they had a really good selection at this bar in Galena downtown of whiskeys, and I told him, let me try the rye because I haven't tried it actually. And actually I take that back because that was before the tour. This was Saturday. We went on Sunday to the distillery, so I hadn't tried any, and he gave me the rye. And it's like, holy crap. I mean, I was probably a little drunk by then anyway. But it was just so good. It's really flavorful. I think we're going to try it tonight again.
Yeah.
But yeah, so again, it's if you're in the Chicago area, it's like 3 hours away. It's a little bit of a drive, but it's worth it. Go for the weekend. Go visit them. Take the tour. Go to the tasting room. Tasting room was a great experience because I like that look of old bourbon, leather, wood, that a lot of these tasting rooms have. Yeah. It's great. You just sit there sipping a bourbon and get drunk on their stuff. So yeah, I'm a fan, and we can probably get into the bourbon now since you guys have been drinking for the last 20 minutes.
Yeah. So I'll give the tasting notes today.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do shit today.
Role reversal.
I'm gonna exactly. You're gonna be Roberto. Roberto was you, and I'm just gonna be Like the part of Roberto that does no work and just kind of sits there.
So this is surely good.
It's really good.
The nose is very good.
Yes.
That's very
It
descriptive.
has a
of you.
nice nose.
it really does.
Lots of like typical bourbon smells. Like there's definitely the oak, some vanilla, caramel. And then there's something else which I think is finished in cognac casks. So I think there's a
Yeah.
little bit of that cognac
Yeah,
sweetness
that's a really
on the
good
nose
point.
too.
It is
Yeah,
really
it's-
nice on the nose.
Really nicely balanced on the nose.
Very classic bourbon.
Yeah.
You know, like we talked about Peerless being and tasting and smelling like a classic bourbon. This is something that reminds me of that. And then look at the color too. You know, it's like very copper.
Yeah. And there's almost like a red wine smell too.
From the sherry, maybe from the sherry cask.
Yeah, so it like you said, this is a dark whiskey. Not quite the Coca-Cola dark,
Right.
but it's pretty close.
It is a nice iced tea, you know, like an iced tea copper
Yeah.
whiskey. I like, and you can tell the wood flavor, the wood notes definitely shine through in this.
Mhm.
And really nice oak. Caramel and vanilla and oak.
It almost tastes like a double oak
Yeah, that's a really
in
good
terms
point.
of like the oak flavor
I don't get
content.
too much oak out of it on the palate.
I do. I get it on the finish.
The finish, yeah. The palate.
It's
get it
not
on the palate.
It's not on the front.
This reminds me, like the palate reminds me a lot of the Whiskey Acres, where you get a lot of the corn flavor on it.
Yeah.
Like I get a lot of corn flavor on the tongue, so you can taste a lot of the grain in it.
Yeah.
That's a good point. But nicely though.
Yeah, it's not
You
bad.
know? It's not like eating popcorn.
No,
or anything.
it's not like when you're just sitting there eating your barley out of the.
I'm getting a like barley
I'm getting
flavor
cereal
too. Yeah.
I get cereal flavor from this. Very nice flavor. You know, it's aged 5 years or at least 5, and you can tell. It's smooth. What's the proof? I forget.
This is 108, so they don't have information on their website on the 5 year. They have it for their normal bourbon, which they don't put an age statement on that, but it's over 4 years. Their normal 4 year is 100 proof, or their normal one is 100 proof. I'm guessing with it 5 years, I don't know if it's the same mash bill. If it is the same mash bill as their normal bourbon, it's 72% corn, 23% rye, 5% malted barley.
Huh, that's
But
interesting.
again, I'm not sure if the 5 years
If the 5
just if it's
yeah.
just aged a little bit longer and then a little bit higher proof, or what.
You know, this probably has malted barley because I taste some, like to your point, you were saying earlier,
Yeah,
there's cereal, like a cereal barley flavor, and it's probably malted barley that we're tasting.
Yeah.
'Cause it reminds me even a little bit of a scotch. It's got like a little bit of a nice scotch flavor, not the peat, but the scotch itself. And that's probably malted barley that's coming through.
It's kind of like Macallan 12.
One of my favorites.
That's what it reminds me of a little bit
Yeah.
on the palate. The finish though is like completely different.
Finish is pure bourbon. It's
Yeah.
like the classic finish of bourbon. This is what it
It's
should
where like the vanilla, brown sugar, caramel, oak is all on the finish.
Brown sugar's good. Cherry. I get some hints of cherry
Yeah.
on the finish. Yeah. Maybe even like chocolate covered strawberries at some point.
That,
don't know.
I'm getting like dark chocolate.
Yeah, exactly.
Like it's a little bitter, but it's not like
I agree.
it's not
with
like
that.
90% dark chocolate. It's like 70%
Yeah.
dark chocolate.
I agree with that. What do you think? Since you've been there sitting enjoying quiet.
It's good. I'm not going to put this as one of my favorites. I mean, craft distilleries are always going to have a different flavor to them. They'll always have a little bit different taste because they don't have the production styles of the bigger distilleries. To me, it reminds me a lot of Whiskey Acres, and I would like to do a side-by-side tasting. Maybe we can do that when we do Whiskey Acres next week, because it's got a lot of the same flavor profiles from what I remember.
Okay. Interesting.
Completely different from what we did with Barnstormer.
yeah.
Now, again, that Barnstormer we tried was not their fully product. That wasn't their
Yeah.
distillate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can't really compare across. It's good. I'm not a huge fan of it. I'd call this middle of the road.
Okay.
I'm glad I tried this one. Though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would really like to try their normal one, just to see the difference. Because whenever you're
one's
talking
good.
about a small craft distillery, like almost all the bottles are going to be their normal bottles are normally be around $50, and that's what the
Yeah.
normal Blonde Brothers goes for $50. This is their 5-year with them knowing it's hotter.
Yeah.
Or
And it was
hot-
like 65, I think.
oh, the tag on this says 90.
Okay, that makes sense. I guess we can check the Venmo for Jake's request.
But again, like these
90,
smaller
yeah,
distilleries,
90 is getting there.
but I don't blame them though, because if they got people that are really wanting to get it and it's a special release, and you know you can get that money out of it, get it, because you're a small distillery, you got to make your money.
Hey, that's not horrible for a limited release
For a limited
Right.
5
bottle
year, yeah.
either.
Yeah.
Like,
No, I don't think their prices by any means are out of line.
yeah,
I mean, 90 is high, but it's a limited, 5-year release.
yeah.
and-
I mean, I think this is for what it is. I think it might be a little high, but taking into account that it's not a major production distillery,
yeah.
I think it's fair.
Yeah, I mean, you got to play to that,
Like,
that profit curve at some
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
You're a small distillery. You need the profit. If you're aging a 5-year bourbon, you're probably going to mark it up because
Right,
you need
yeah.
to recoup some of the expense and make a little bit of money. And, honestly, this is really popular in Galena. Well, obviously, they're from there. And
Pretty
I'm in the 5.
northwest Illinois. It's
Is it?
pretty popular.
And I'm in the 5, especially.
Okay, I
Yeah.
don't know about that. I know Blonde Brothers, but I mean, even like all the liquor stores out by us carry Blonde Brothers in Chicagoland.
Yeah. So I mentioned that the 5 is really popular because I went to, like, there's a wine store that sells it. There's a grocery store, one of those small grocery stores on Main Street. And then there were a couple of other liquor stores that sell it. And I went to the wine store and they had one or two left. I forget. I picked up, one of the two. I got yours at the actual distillery.
you got me a cigar blend.
I didn't get your 5.
No, you
Okay.
got me a
So
cigar
then I
blend
got
and
the
a
last
rye.
one then.
Yeah, I think you got the last one of that.
And I went to the store and the guy told me, he's like, "Have you heard of Blonde Brothers?" Yes, they're down the street, right? Yeah. He said, "This is my last bottle. It's been going the whole weekend. So this is my last 5-year release. Get it." And I went to the other ones and they're like, "Oh yeah, we had it and it just went off the shelf."
Yeah.
So I would pull this, and I did actually when my parents were here for the 4th of July weekend. I would pull this on a nice occasion if my dad's visiting, my brother's visiting, because it's the whole story is the again we talked last week about the experience.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a small distillery that does a good job. It's in a very quaint town, and it's actually a good whiskey.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good example of an Illinois whiskey too. Like you don't want to pull out some like horse shit.
Exactly. Yeah,
Be like, this is Illinois whiskey.
Yeah. I completely agree. I'm with you in the sense that it's not in my top 5 by any means, but I enjoy this whiskey. I think, they did a good job in the complexity.
It is a very
flavors.
complex bourbon for
Yeah.
I mean, for 5 years, it's got a lot of complexity to it.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Nose and palate and finish. Like there's a lot of different flavor profiles to it. Which I like and I appreciate. And it's hard to it's not a one note bourbon, and I like that. I'm not my palate's not one of my favorites, but it's not bad.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. I really enjoy the finish.
yeah.
Yeah, it does. It does have a nice finish.
Yeah.
That's probably my favorite part.
Yeah.
I agree. Good.
No, I mean, and like I said, it's for a normal one, it's $50-$60 for their normal stuff is what you're going to see for a craft distillery.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, it really
there's
is.
nothing wrong with that.
Completely agree. Yeah, we're gonna try the rye here in a second, but again, I'll emphasize it's worth the drive if you live in the Chicago area, especially if you live in Iowa, it's 2 minutes away. Go to Galena, take a look at the town, stay there for the weekend. Go to the supper club that's overlooking a cliff. That was so cool. We went to the supper club.
Oh,
there.
that one up on the hill?
The one up on the hill.
Yeah.
It's like right overlooking
Oh,
a
nice.
hill, a cliff, really. I mean, it's like a cliff onto the lake.
That's cool.
And it's the old school Wisconsin supper club
Just in Illinois.
in Illinois because it's 2 minutes away from Wisconsin.
Yeah, like it was me and Jenna went there for a wedding last summer. And it was funny because we we got there late because we drove after work on like Friday or whatever. And, like driving through there, like the downtown at night, I was like, wow, this place is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like, and like we had been talking about like where we'd want to live if we were like when we were retired and stuff. And I was like, this is like the kind of place I'd like to live.
Yeah.
And then we tried to go downtown the next morning, and I was like, fuck this
You don't
place.
want to retire there.
I was like, hell no.
Yeah,
Nope.
You do not want to retire in Galena.
You couldn't pay me to live there.
It's
during the summer at least.
Yeah.
It's like
just
a
like-
very, very, very small stripped down Wisconsin Dells is what it reminds me of.
Yeah, kind of.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, that's a good point.
I mean,
Yeah.
there's a couple random things to do. It
Yeah.
doesn't have like the amusement parks and everything
Right.
that you have at the Dells, but just the style. And like same thing with the Dells. There's always a bachelor or bachelorette party
yeah.
going on at the Dells.
Yeah.
It's always the downtown Dells is always packed.
Yeah.
Like all the bars are always packed.
Yeah.
You can't park anywhere. It has that same feel to it.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's funny you say that about retiring because I told Lindsay the same thing. It's like this would be amazing to retire. Like hour one that we drove into Galena. It's like holy crap, beautiful town, quaint Main Street, and then you spend the night, and I mean it's loud, a lot of tourists. Well, it's 100% tourism there.
Yeah.
And I would hate to deal with that every weekend for
Yeah.
sure. But again, for the weekend, it was great. We did a ghost tour.
Those are big up there.
They're big. There's like 3 of them. They're all really good, and they take you to the buildings where sometimes people apparently do see ghosts on these tours. And one of the stops is actually the I forget the name of the hotel, but it was Grant's presidential campaign headquarters. So you actually have a drink on the floor, like in the room where Grant had his presidential campaign headquarters.
That's
pretty
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you get to see all the real ghosts because ghosts are real.
Yeah,
A
exactly.
ghost sat on Jenna's lap at her friend's bachelorette party.
Yeah. Yeah. Was
sure
that
it was
a
a
stage
ghost.
name?
I'm sure it was a ghost. Jorge was his name. Anyway, so we're breaking into the rye now.
Yeah, so this is
I got some information on the rye before we get into that, so you guys can start your.
Is it made out of rye?
It is rye, made out of rye.
Okay, good.
go ahead.
It's a not age statement again. They know it's over 4 years. It's 100 proof. It's a 92% rye, 5% smoked malt,
You can
and
smell the
3%
smoke.
malted barley.
You can definitely on the nose. You can get some of those smoky notes.
I'm getting like big time black licorice.
Oh, good way to say it. That's a good way to say it.
Yeah, a little bit of smoke, but not. It's pretty subtle.
It is a subtle smoke. It's there.
It's mostly that
The notes are
licorice
there.
smell.
Licorice and
It's
red
like
wine, maybe. Like I get a-
floral kind of notes
yeah,
too.
I get a note of like a red wine, like a bold red wine.
Definitely not a typical rye smell.
No, and it's got a floral. To your point, there's a little floral smell in there
Yeah.
that normally you don't get with the rye. Good
We all-
nose, though.
We all took a sip at the same time. That was a bad idea because there was no talking going on.
It's a good nose.
You don't get much rye spice out of this.
Yeah, it's like
For a 92% rye, you don't get a lot of rye spice out of it.
Oh shit, this is so
it lingers a little bit, but it's very
very subtle.
very
too.
mild. Yeah.
I don't
It's
get a
nice.
lot of the finish. Is not spicy.
No, which is very atypical for a rye.
Yeah.
Usually all the spice is on the finish and it sits like in the back of your mouth.
I really enjoy this.
Yeah, this is
a
a good rye.
smooth. It's not very complex.
No.
There's not a lot of complexity.
There's
it's
more
really
complexity on the nose than there is in the palate and finish.
Agreed.
Mm-hmm.
But the palate is good. It's smooth.
Yeah. Yep.
And I mean, I love the flavor, and I can drink this all night. I can drink this. This will get me in trouble.
This is a very easy drinking rye. I like the rye more than I like the bourbon, which
Yeah, I would agree.
it's for me to say that it's
No, I agree too. That licorice smell that you were talking about, it translates to the taste too. It's
Yeah.
a sweet. cherry, vanilla, licorice taste.
Yeah, it's
In a
not
good
as the licorice isn't as pronounced as it is on the nose.
Completely agree.
On the palate,
Yeah.
it's subdued and like it's nicely intermingled with, like you said, the vanilla, a little bit of cherry.
And something floral that I can place.
Yeah,
But I really enjoy this. I mean,
it's like
like a
clove or
dessert.
something like that. I don't know.
yeah, clove's actually it's a good way to say it. You know, that's a really good point because I get some notes of like mulled wine.
Yeah, or like
which is normally
maybe
made with
basil or something. Like
I'm not getting any basil out of it.
it's a
I get the cherry. I don't get it's the heavy smell of black liquor.
it's some kind of like
Black
herb
licorice,
or like
some herbal something. Floral herbal.
Yeah.
I don't know which one. I can't place if it's like a floral taste or like an herb. But this is really, I mean, this will get me in trouble. This is good. Easy to drink. And again, this is another bottle that I would definitely break out for a special occasion with, parents or brother or whatever.
yeah.
Because I love their bottles are pretty. Their labels are really nicely done.
Yeah.
They have good art. This will get me in trouble. I don't know. I love this rye. I really do.
This is good, neat. I think this would make a really good old fashioned.
Yeah, I think so.
Because
I think so too.
Because I like more bourbon old fashions than rye old fashions. But since this doesn't have much of that rye spice on it, I think this would make it really. You get a little bit of that spiciness out of it, but not a ton to add to that old fashioned. And I think I'd make a really good old fashioned.
I'm very old fashioned, so my old fashions are with rye.
Yeah.
Sazerac.
I prefer rye.
I prefer rye my old fashioned. Sazerac rye, I've said that before. It doesn't get any better for me than an old fashioned with Sazerac
Yeah.
rye.
It does matter though what rye you choose because
Agreed.
some will kill the drink.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
Like go to Bullet.
Bullet
rye
rye is one of my go-tos.
Fantastic Manhattan. Or,
Sazerac rye, half the
old fashions.
price, and
Yeah.
just makes a tremendous old fashioned.
And one of the things, like I think we kind of talked about it on the last episode too, is like I love supporting the local distilleries. We all do.
How do you support him? You're unemployed.
That's true. It's fair. It's a fair point.
This joke's gonna go on for like 6 months until Dan finally gets a job.
Until I decide to
Well,
get out of
I think it's gonna even when he gets a job, we're gonna continue to make this joke because it's
Yeah.
just fun, Baba and blue tarp under the bridge.
I just enjoy my
with
6-month
a
retirement.
glory hole, the blue tarp that has a glory hole now.
Well,
apparently.
you originally had installed
Well,
that.
I mean, hey, you gotta do what you gotta do.
But no, it's these smaller distilleries. It's nice because I always want to buy a bottle, and sometimes it's not my favorite, and it's a $50 or $60 bottle. But at the same point, it's to find other uses for it as well too. And again, this would be I think I would buy this. Since I'm not a huge rye guy, I wouldn't buy this just as a rye to drink neat because there's other ryes I like better than this. But this I think would make one hell of an old
That's
fashioned.
interesting. What do you like better in this? Because that's a really good point.
In terms of the ryes,
Yeah.
that Smooth Amblers,
Okay, that was a good
Founders
rye.
the rye that we did.
Yeah, well,
was a
it's
good
like
rye.
my number 2.
Yeah.
I
after EHD.
Bullet rye is still a really damn good rye.
Yeah, that's true.
Things like that. There's been a couple. I can't remember all. There's been a few here or there that I've really enjoyed. Well,
Yeah, do
obviously,
you like Willet rye? Because it's
Willet
one of
rye.
my favorites.
Willet rye's okay. I don't like that as much. The Sazerac 18.
Well, yeah.
Oh,
That
shut
was
up.
really good.
$1,000 a pour.
That was 25. I got
Was
that
it
for
really?
$25 a
Good
pour.
for you.
Well, it's no Pappy rye.
I'm sorry. I mean, it's just a Pappy Rye 25 is probably better. No shit, dude. My Sazerac Rye is $19 at the store. On the shelf.
I don't know. Check inflation because you were talking about that mellow corn all being $12, and everywhere I'm seeing it's $17, $18.
I know. I was
Inflation's
surprised.
killing it.
I was
Yeah,
surprised.
that's
It's the true
sad.
cost of Washington. I'm telling you.
No, this is a decent rye in my book. It's one that I
love
like.
this.
This is a good rye for people that want to drink local and aren't big rye fans, but want to slowly get into ryes. This is a good transition rye,
Well,
Yeah.
especially for as high proof as it is, or high
yeah, you
percentage
can
of
tell
rye it is.
there's an ethanol.
I
There's
mean,
definitely an
I
ethanol
didn't mean
taste
proof.
to
I
it.
meant the percentage of rye because
Oh,
some
I
of the
was gonna
ryes
say
that I've
there's-
liked in the past have been like 60 or 70% rye.
Yeah, and this is what?
92.
92? Yeah.
That's pretty high.
Yeah, it is. It is a high rye. You said if you're drinking local, this is a good rye. Dude, I'm sorry. I would put this rye up against many national rye that like really stacks up nicely against some of the big ones. Like I mean, of course, this is not a Willet rye, but this is a good rye, and you're starting to see it more and more throughout Illinois, of course. Because it's getting distributed pretty nicely. Mm-hmm. But it is local. It's a small distillery. I would put it up against many good rye whiskeys out there. It's really good. It's really good.
It's really good.
It's really.
I'm enjoying it. I enjoy the complexity, the floral, the taste. There's some things that I still can place in here. It's like red wine, but that floral. You said clove, maybe clove. I don't know.
Yeah, that's not right. But it's like, I think it's more of a spice than an herb.
And it is surprising that at 95% rye, it's not very spicy. 92. It's not very spicy.
Tarragon.
Yes. That's a good one.
Maybe tarragon.
Sandalwood.
Are
we just making up words now?
Balsa wood.
Children's tears.
Hearts. Jeez. It's very good.
Well, we'll finish this up and then we'll try that cigar blend. Yeah, like Roberto, when you said if you're Chicagoland, Galena's a good weekend getaway. There's lots of Verbo and Airbnbs out in the territories, which is
some good ones too.
The territories are just before you get to Galena, so if you're staying in the territories and you're going to Galena, you will drive right by Blount Brothers.
Yeah.
Which is totally worth it. And if you're heading out that way, when you're taking 20, when you're on the bypass around Rockford,
oh my God,
you're a few minutes away from Barnstormers.
Yeah, I think we drove right by it.
Yeah, well, no, because you got to get off on Highway 2. I
thought we drove like right by the freaking airport.
Well, so the bypass is basically the bypass in 2.
Okay.
Highway 2 is where the airport is.
Like 2 minutes from it.
It's about 5 minutes, 6 minutes out of the way.
Yeah. Okay.
This is like listening to people in LA talk about the highways.
Well, that was, or like Roberto and the Fourth Dram guy sitting there and talking about every single road
in Houston
between Houston, Dallas, and San Antonio.
I enjoyed them. They're good peeps. I didn't see them in San Antonio. I ran out of time. I was drinking a lot of whiskey.
That's a shame.
Yeah, my friends from England were in town,
good thing you go out there
whiskey.
like every freaking weekend. So,
dude, we've been there like 4 times already this year. Yeah, I don't have any plans to go back, but it's worth a trip. There's nice golf courses. Yep. Actually, on the way back, I forget the name of the golf course. You'll have to tell me. On the way back from Galena back to Chicago, you drive by a golf course that's kind of like a links style.
Yeah, it's Woodbine Bend.
Woodbine, and their food at the clubhouse is freaking amazing. So the friend that we went with, he's like, dude, we got to stop by the clubhouse and have lunch. I'm like, I'm sure there's better restaurants out there. He's like, no, you haven't been here.
One of my college buddies actually was the golf course superintendent there for a while. And I decided to go out there and we'd grab late dinners and
their food
drinks there.
Great. I mean, seriously, unexpected.
It's amazing. I think they technically call that Stockton. It's basically Stockton Elizabeth is the town you get to right before you go into Galena.
Yeah,
it's right there. It's right off 20.
The highways, we got to go to the highways again. 20 and no, but yeah, again, it's a good trip. It really is. It's fun. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, the other big thing is when you're on your way out there before you get to Freeport, which is just a beautiful, beautiful city. You get the little Rydot Corners bar, and that's the world's best greasy bar burger.
Oh,
hands down.
Yeah, we didn't stop there.
You'll never find a better greasy bar. It's a hole in the wall. It's where I grew up. That's where I have a lot of times where a lot of memories I don't remember there.
If you're curious about seeing Dan's stomping grounds,
well, he grew up in a hole in the wall, so maybe his parents had him trapped in one of the walls in the room. With the kids that they only let out like once a week.
I was bundled up there
to go shuck corn.
One of those like feral kids that can't even talk or speak.
That explains a lot.
You know what?
He learned how to speak when he was 21 because they didn't let him out of the wall until then.
If you're just joining us after that jump cut.
You don't have to worry about what happened in the last 45 seconds of tape. It's a good rye when Dan says that it's a good rye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's good. That's a good measure.
Well, we have the cigar blend is the last one. There's not going to be. I don't have any information on that. Their website.
I don't.
I would say I wish one thing they would do better is update their or have a little bit better website or have a little bit more information on their stuff. Like I don't want the website to tell me what their tasting notes are. Like I don't care about any of that stuff.
Yeah, leave it to me. That's for me to decide.
And I don't need that. And some websites do that, some don't. Especially local, a lot of craft ones. They want they want to try and do that. But just some better information, some more history, some things like that.
Yeah,
would be a little bit better. It's kind of like
why did they decide to make a cigar blend?
Exactly.
And like even the bourbon, it's like this is our bourbon.
Yeah.
There's not much else to say.
I know, and they have like a poem for their bourbon. I'm like, no, I'm fine. I just want to know about it. I want to know your history. Yeah. I wasn't impressed with their website. I mean, honestly, I think our website has more info than the Plum Brothers one. So if they're listening, hire somebody.
Yeah.
Speaking of our website,
hire a copywriter.
Speaking of our website, we'll get to that once we get a little bit better. I've been keeping up with it very well since I don't have anything else to do.
Yeah.
And all the videos are now on the website too.
Yep.
We're doing well.
Dude, YouTube's getting some good traction out there.
Our China traffic is increasing, so that's good.
The one thing that isn't
I'm telling
increasing
you, once they take over Taiwan, it's gonna go to like 700.
All right, and after that jump cut, when we're back into it,
I don't know. That one's probably okay.
well, we just lost all of our China views on the website now by recognizing that Taiwan.
Hey, we didn't give a shout out, by the way, to the 400 followers that we just got.
Oh, hey, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
So it's a shout out for Jana, who does a really good job social managing our channel. I don't know, social managing, maybe social media managing.
Yeah.
Our channels, we have 417 followers as of this morning.
Killing it.
It's not like I count every morning. I refresh that stupid thing like three times a day. So anyway, thanks to the 417 people that actually choose to follow our stupidness on Instagram.
Yeah,
but it's really not stupid. We really do. We try to put engaging content out there. And for example, when we go to the local distilleries, we have some stories about what we experienced, pictures from the distilleries. It's always good. And we every now and then, more then than now, or actually more now than then, we go to Gold Eagle, our local wine and spirits warehouse here in the northern suburbs of Chicago, and we do tastings. And so we engage with them, they engage with us. We go to the tastings, we put some notes, some pictures. It's a good job. 417.
Yeah, she's done a great job because we started with 0 basically, besides a few friends.
Well, no, not basically. You start with 0.
Well,
that's
fair.
the definition.
Well, no, I think how do I start?
Started
with
from the bottom. Now we're here.
Dan's like, well, we started with 17. I'm like, no.
I think we start with 1 because you have to have an Instagram account to create one, and I think that
no followers is 0. You start with 0 followers.
Tom's our friend.
Tom, your friend Tom from MySpace.
Well, all the younger viewers, our listeners, are not going to understand who Tom is.
Yeah.
Are there young viewers? I don't know.
I mean, you have to be over 21 to listen. So.
But no, she's done a great job growing that. I know she puts a lot of time and effort into it, and we probably don't say it enough, but she does a great job. And it's nice to see that in a short amount of time we've gotten up to over 400 followers, and
it's
almost a quarter of the way to 500.
I completely agree. Wait, I'm sorry. What? A quarter of the way?
Well, 417 if we were at 425.
That's a quarter of the way to 500?
I'm not a mathematician, Roberto.
No, that's fucking clear, man. Because that was like 4/5 of the way.
I was meaning more of we're 17. We need another 100 followers, or 17% of our next 100.
I'm sorry. That really came through. That you're not a mathematician.
I'm sorry. I really like the rye.
Oh man.
Anyway.
All right. You want to give out the all the places they can find us?
Oh yeah.
And social media.
So while we drink this cigar blend, which is actually really tasty. So Instagram, when we're talking about Instagram, we're trying to do more video content, which that's where Instagram is going. Doing more video, more reels, more more dumb stuff that we normally do. We shot a couple last night in the bourbon room at the other house, not this bourbon room. Dan is the only one that needs a bourbon room. And
I'm unemployed. I can't afford a bourbon room.
yeah, exactly. I mean, you can just make space right there under the bridge.
I could live like most Americans, just live in massive debt.
Yeah,
I mean, the interest rates are going to go down here sometimes.
Hey, the Fed just increased 0.75 of a point. By the way, that's 0.75, Dan.
It's like 300%, isn't it?
Anyway, Bourbon Matters is our handle on Instagram at Bourbon Matters. You can look us up. You can go to search and type at Bourbon Matters. It will take you to us. We are on. We're in YouTube right now. Actually, I'll take Jake can talk about YouTube because I have no idea what we do there. We have a website, bourbonmatterspodcast.com, and then we have Facebook accounts. One account, Bourbon Matters. Same type of content. We engage with some of our followers there. I'd say Instagram is probably where we're more active. We have the reels on Instagram. So follow us. Give us a follow. Give us a like. Give us a listen.
Yeah. And I think we might do like a quick video review of the cigar blend this weekend. And we'll post that like the day after the episode or something.
Okay.
So keep an eye out for that. You can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Podcasts. You can watch us on YouTube. And newly added to the roster is Audible and Amazon Music. So you can find us on there too.
How'd we get on there?
I told Jeff that he's got to let me in.
Good.
Yeah.
Did you email Jeff?
Then I wiped his head off with a rag because it needed to be shined up a little bit.
Could you see if...
And now we're off Amazon.
Could you see if he could get me on one of those little ships that go up high in the air?
With the dick ship?
You know what? If it gets me to space.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
If
Shoots it up really nicely.
There's anything that would be an Austin Powers spaceship.
Yeah, that's fair.
It would be.
Looks like a big Johnson.
It looks exactly like it. Like it looks exactly like the
For
Austin
real.
Powers spaceship. Anyway.
God, I want to watch Austin Powers tonight.
Oh, that was such a dude. The Spy Who Shagged Me. That was probably one of the best movies ever made.
All right. So yeah, next week, Whiskey Acres.
And we're actually going to be drinking the bottle that I bottled.
Oh, nice.
I'll bring
I didn't
that.
know that.
Yeah.
Ooh, good for
I'll
you.
bring the bottled and bond that I bottled the last time I was down there. I won't spend too much time talking about that because we did that on last episode?
Last episode,
yeah. I talked about that a lot, but no, we'll use that as we'll do the bottled and bond for their tasting.
That'll be cool. And I've got the rye too, so we
Might as well hit 'em
give
up.
that one another taste too.
I'm excited about that.
We'll have that, and then we'll also have Rush Creek Distillery coming up, which is a distillery that Roberto's mentioned a few times today that me and him went to.
We're going Saturday.
No, we're going to Barnstormer on Saturday. Rush Creek is...
What the heck did I say? Rush Creek? Okay. Never mind.
We're going somewhere Saturday.
Where is somebody? I don't normally drive, so I just get in the car and then it's like show up
just
somewhere.
show-
Like,
yeah,
this is great.
go
Where did we go
somewhere.
again? And then I lose my bottles that I buy, and then I give away my hats.
And you eat barley.
And barley by itself is so freaking good. I mean, I was in the bathroom for 3 hours the next day, but that was so freaking good. Like that is whole grains.
No,
right
well,
there.
no, that is, I'm looking forward to the weekend because we'll see that the ladies will get to go see Barnstormer.
Yeah.
Doing a shrimp boil, my first ever Low Country boil
Dude, I'm so excited
that
for
night. So
I'm not excited for us to be on YouTube because now I got to change my shirts. Because I used to wear exactly the same shirt every time we recorded a podcast.
Yeah, that's
Now I got
true.
to change. People are going to think that I'm dirty.
Well, now you do because you changed.
Right.
So now you either have to have the one episode that's weird,
That is a good.
or
point.
you have to continue changing every
Or
episode.
maybe I just wear the same thing, whatever.
I mean, you could just do what me and Jake do and just not wear clothes during the podcast.
Yeah,
And if you don't
Nice.
believe us, watch us on YouTube.
Yeah, you guys look
Yeah.
good, man. That's some good,
nice promo.
some good man.
Like that,
good
trying
man boob
to get a view or two out of that. Some perv's gonna go there to try and see me and you naked.
Hey,
and
I'll
it's
take
gonna,
the
it's gonna
traffic,
count as a
man.
view.
YouTube doesn't care who it is. I just want the traffic. Well, good. This was fun. I enjoyed it. Thanks for
Yeah,
suggesting Blonde Brothers. I don't know who did, but anyway.
I think it was you.
Oh, perfect.
All right.
All right,
Cheers.
cheers.